They came without a warning. No ships in orbit. No declarations of war. Just a blink in the surveillance satellites. A delay of seconds that no one noticed until the children were gone. Hundreds taken across continents. Every city, every country, hit simultaneously. Schoolyards left with half-eaten lunches, backpacks hanging off chairs, toys dropped mid-play. There were no sounds, no footage, only absence. The Galactic Empire called it a harvest. They spoke of it like a noble act, a necessary elevation of the lesser species. Earth, they said, was filled with untapped potential. They were merely helping civilization evolve by guiding its youth. Their broadcasts praised efficiency, celebrated minimal resistance. Earth said nothing. Governments issued no statements. No global council convened. The internet, once ablaze with theories, fell into silence. No new uploads. No messages. As if 7 billion minds had turned inward. The skies remained clear. Not a single fleet launched. The Empire interpreted it as fear. They were wrong. The silence was not surrender. It was mourning. Then it became something else. In the concrete shadows of decommissioned bunkers, long-abandoned defense silos, and data-blackened satellites, forgotten programs came back online. Old names were whispered again. Wraith, Spectre, Black Echo, Directive 13. Groups erased from history by treaty, by shame, by the fear of what they had once been capable of. Each began receiving encrypted transmissions. No names, no voice, only coordinates and a single phrase. Recover what was stolen. 70,000 responded. Not soldiers. Assassins. Ghosts from wars the world never acknowledged. Their skills had been outlawed, their existence denied. They didn't ask who authorized the call. They didn't care. The children were taken. That was enough. The Empire still celebrated. They saw Earth's silence as submission. On the Outer Rim colonies, officials joked about the humans' weakness. The Empress herself, in a speech to the Dominion Chamber, declared, "We have tamed the wild planet. Let the stars know." That was the day the first admiral was found dead. No alarms. No breach. Just a pool of silver blood in the upper chambers of a gravity cruiser. The second body was discovered with every internal organ liquefied. A dozen more vanished over the next week. Commanders, governors, scientists, diplomats. Entire security logs were wiped clean. Even the AI sentries couldn't explain what had happened. The Empire began to suspect sabotage, but the pattern was irregular. Too precise to be insurgents. Too surgical to be rebellion. Surveillance outposts experienced untraceable code intrusions. Files disappeared. Names erased. Entire logistics networks collapsed in hours. On dozens of outer colonies, supply lines failed. Rations expired mid-transport. Water systems became toxic. Energy cores shut down and refused to reboot. And still, Earth said nothing. The assassins never announced themselves. They never operated under flags. They didn't speak. Where they moved, death followed like a rumor, half believed until it arrived. One by one, the Empire's outer systems turned to chaos. In public, the Empress called it coincidental strain. Privately, she doubled the guard across all critical infrastructure. Fleet deployments increased. Alien allies were summoned. None of it mattered. The assassins had already infiltrated every level of their infrastructure. They didn't need to destroy the Empire. They made it destroy itself. Trust broke between sectors. High officials accused each other. Paranoia became policy. Loyal systems turned rogue to protect themselves. On one world, an imperial senator was killed during a broadcast. The transmission didn't cut. The galaxy watched him choke, watched his eyes bleed, watched the assassin vanish mid-frame. No one claimed responsibility. No one needed to. The silence said enough. The first message from Earth came 71 days after the abductions. It wasn't sent by a government. It wasn't broadcast over official channels. Every screen on every imperial world went black at the same time. Then a single line appeared. You took ours. We take everything. The Empire tried to respond. Their networks were down within seconds. Their comm relays melted from within. AI cores locked themselves into endless loops. Digital infrastructure across 1,000 worlds simply stopped functioning. What the assassins couldn't kill, they corrupted. Civil unrest became systemic collapse. Planets that had never seen rebellion erupted in violence. Slave species, long kept in chains by the Empire, began to rise. Not all fought for freedom. Some fought for vengeance. And behind every act, every collapse, there were whispers of humans, unseen, unknown, unstoppable. One Empire world attempted evacuation. Half the fleet exploded during launch. No signs of tampering. No evidence. Only ashes. Still, the assassins said nothing. There were no propaganda videos. No war hymns. No declarations. They weren't there to be seen. They were there to remind the galaxy what it meant to provoke a species that remembers its dead. At the heart of the Empire, military councils began to fracture. Some wanted to retaliate. Others demanded diplomacy. One admiral argued to simply return the children and beg forgiveness. That admiral disappeared the next day. His name was removed from every archive. The assassins did not care about peace. They cared about balance. 1,000 years of imperial dominance began to unravel. Planets cut ties. Former allies turned neutral. Trade routes collapsed. Each time the Empire tried to centralize power, someone died. Some stopped trying. Others defected. Among the children, few even knew they'd been taken. The Empire had hidden them on a secret moon facility, where indoctrination machines played false Earth memories. They were told their families abandoned them, that they had been chosen for something greater. Some resisted. Others cried. None broke. The assassins found them anyway. The location was buried behind dozens of AI firewalls. Quantum encrypted, constantly moving. The assassins didn't hack it. They broke the systems that depended on it, forced the Empire to expose the path. And when the coordinates were known, the Empire tried to move the children. They failed. The assassins arrived before the fleet launched. No external ships. No invasion force. The station's security systems simply shut off. Cameras went dark. Doors opened. The facility's AI welcomed the intruders and locked out the staff. Every Imperial officer died within 7 minutes. The children were not harmed. The assassins gathered them without words. No uniforms. No insignias. They carried the children out in silence. The transport vanished from radar. The station collapsed 5 minutes later, core destabilized by code older than the Empire itself. The children awoke on Earth. There were no parents. No family reunions. Not yet. Only calm voices. Gentle hands. Food, warmth, sleep. They were told they were safe. That the monsters were gone. Some believed it. Others cried. A few stared at nothing. When asked to save them, none could say. The assassins didn't stay. They vanished just as quietly as they came. Some returned to the places they'd been hiding. Some returned to nothing. Most disappeared completely. The war was not over, but their part was done. The Empire was bleeding, and now the rest of humanity moved in. Earth never officially declared war, but it never needed to. The Empress ordered silence. Admitting weakness would be blood in the water. The outer systems were already snarling, alliances cracking at the edges. If they learned that 70,000 human assassins had moved through the Empire unchecked, disassembling fleets and command with surgical precision, everything would collapse. The facade had to be maintained, but it was already too late. Word of the retrieval spread, not by broadcast, but in whispers. On slave worlds and client planets, rumors flew faster than any sanctioned message. The humans took their children back. They bled the Empire to do it. No one questioned the facts. The Empire's silence was its own confession. Within the high command, loyalty shattered. Some began to question the core leadership. Others believed the humans had agents even among them. Paranoia eclipsed reason. Entire departments began monitoring each other, and as the network turned inward, it failed outward. Operations halted. Initiatives stalled. New rebellions sparked on 5 systems the same day. Humanity didn't lead them. It didn't have to. The example was enough. Meanwhile, Earth did not return to peace. The assassins had completed their part, but humanity was not finished. The architects of the abduction still lived. The scientists who dissected children's minds for data. The nobles who treated Earth's young like experimental livestock. The geneticists who used them to fuel hybrid programs. Those names were known, and every name had a shadow on its trail. One by one they fell, not in dramatic explosions or firefights. In their own labs, homes, palaces. They were found with pulses stopped, neural pathways burned through, sometimes so clean the skin wasn't even broken. The galaxy began to understand this was not war. It was precision extinction. Human agents, never seen, never identified, began removing the roots of the abduction program. Databanks were emptied. Every person involved in its approval, funding, or implementation was eliminated. Even those who had only signed the paperwork without reading it. Earth's new strategy was simple. Involvement meant liability. Liability meant erasure. In Imperial War colleges, professors rewrote curriculum. The term asymmetric annihilation entered doctrine. An entire field was dedicated to analyzing human response. It produced no consistent data. Every action was unpredictable. No clear chain of command. No centralized strategy. Only the single immutable law. If you harm their young, you cease to exist. The Empress's grip weakened. She increased surveillance, imposed loyalty screenings, ordered purges. Whole departments vanished overnight, not from human action, but internal collapse. Trust became toxic. Loyalty became fatal. Any leader who questioned the prevailing fear was accused of collaboration. Human tactics didn't just destroy targets, they shattered institutions. At the same time, human reconnaissance accelerated. Probes appeared in forbidden systems. Data ghosts slipped through encrypted channels. The Empire's deep projects, secret experiments, black sites, illegal mining colonies were exposed one by one. Earth began seizing the initiative. On the fringes of the Empire, colonies declared independence. Some joined human protectorates. Others swore fealty to no one. Each time Earth was asked for support, it answered, not with fleets, but precision strikes. Pirate kings disappeared. Smugglers turned up dead. The message was clear: obey Earth's justice, or face something worse. The assassins had not disbanded. They had simply adapted. No longer acting as a swarm, they became a scalpel. An agent would vanish into a system, destroy the power structure in weeks, and vanish. Locals would rise in the vacuum. The Empire would return with ships, only to find loyal citizens now defending their independence with alien weaponry, supplied anonymously, always perfectly suited to the terrain, population, and threat level. Some believed Earth had planned everything from the beginning, that the abduction had been provoked. Others called it divine justice. Most stayed silent, afraid their words alone might attract human attention. In a fortified chamber beneath the imperial citadel, the Empress summoned the overseers. These were not military. They were unseen forces, strategists, manipulators, enforcers of order beyond law or morality. They were her last line of control. They failed. One by one, they were hunted. Not even the Empress's authority could protect them. Earth's agents moved through their fortresses like wind through cracks. Some died within their own armor. Others simply vanished. And always the same signature. Nothing left behind but silence. Eventually, even the Empress began to fear sleep. But Earth didn't seek conquest. The assassins didn't march on capitals. Humanity understood power differently. Not as territory, but as influence. They had learned that when you dismantle trust, you don't need armies. They used the Empire's arrogance as fuel. 1,000 years of dominance, undone by 70,000 ghosts. And still, Earth had not revealed its full strength. Behind the scenes, human science surged forward. Reverse-engineered alien tech now powered entire underground networks. Terraforming technologies were repurposed to build stealth zones. AI, once regulated, was now hybridized with quantum sentience. Human minds linked directly into battlefield calculations, logistics, espionage. Each assassin operated as part of a living web. No central command, only shared purpose. One Empire admiral defected. Her family had been on Earth during the harvest. She had believed the propaganda. Then she saw the archives. Unedited footage, medical logs, experiment results. She contacted the humans, offered secrets. She was accepted. Within 6 months, 3 critical Imperial planets were lost, not from invasion, but collapse. Her knowledge of infrastructure, supply routes, and command hierarchies allowed Earth to cut arteries and let the systems bleed. Whole sectors disconnected themselves to survive. Her reward was silence. No medal, no monument. Only one message: you did what was right. More followed. Scientists, strategists, even Imperial AI constructs. They abandoned the Empire's wrought for Earth's vengeance. Not for reward, for absolution. The galaxy took notice. Even among neutral civilizations, diplomatic channels opened. Not out of alliance, but insurance. Species that once ignored humans now extended offers. Technology, resources, treaties. Earth accepted none. It gave a single reply to each. Do not target our young, ever. The message became legend. Galactic criminals began using it as a deterrent. Smugglers wore Earth's emblem to avoid being raided. Pirate factions declared loyalty to Earth without ever meeting a human. They simply feared the alternative. The Empire, cornered, turned to cruelty. It began taking hostages on occupied worlds. Children of resistance leaders, suspected collaborators, even random families. It broadcast threats, executed innocents, tried to force Earth's hand. It failed. Because for every child they took, an imperial bloodline was ended. Lineages erased. Heritage halls reduced to dust. Every act of cruelty was matched by quiet obliteration. No public retaliation. No threat. Only results. Humanity moved with terrifying logic. It did not escalate. It neutralized. Empires crave fear. Earth gave it nothing but absence. Then came the day when the Empress's heir died. Not murdered. Simply vanished. Planets were reshaped, not colonized. Deep space singularity labs blinked in and out of detection, testing physics without regard for galactic norms. Intelligence accelerated. Every breakthrough fed back into the same web that trained, evolved, and augmented the assassins. They were no longer just soldiers. They were the nervous system of a growing, decentralized predator. The emissaries vanished. Not killed, simply redirected, turned around, stranded, warned. The humans didn't engage in dialogue. They didn't want recognition. Their message had been sent long ago, and the galaxy had already read it. The Empire's enemies multiplied. Former client races, previously too weak to rebel, rose up with precision. They mimicked human tactics. Assassinations, infrastructure collapse, communications interference. Earth didn't command them, but its strategy had become a blueprint. Rebellion was no longer emotional. It was mathematical. The assassins who once struck in unified waves now operated in cells, pairs, sometimes alone. Each was a walking nexus of intelligence and execution. They moved through conflict zones not to fight, but to end wars before they began. Entire military buildups collapsed when one assassin neutralized a lead general and erased their logistics AI. These weren't missions. They were inevitabilities. Earth's predictive systems had matured. Using stolen Imperial cognition engines, they saw 3 moves ahead in every system. Rogue fleets were intercepted before launching. Black market arms deals were replaced with silent sabotage. When enemies gathered strength, Earth injected instability, sometimes through assassins, other times through ideas. Propaganda wasn't needed. Facts sufficed. Entire alien populations turned against their overlords when shown what Earth had uncovered: videos, medical logs, testimonies of what the Empire did to human children. No fabrication. No dramatization. Just data. The truth needed no embellishment. The empire's cohesion disintegrated. With every failed retaliation, their legend died. Their governors became targets. Their armies mutinied. Their border systems declared neutrality. It wasn't love for Earth. It was a survival instinct. Aligning with the humans meant living. Challenging them meant erasure. But Earth wasn't without limits. Other powers began to emerge. Not hostile, but curious. The Varnak Collective, long isolationist, initiated contact. Not through embassies, but encrypted data chains. They studied Earth's movement, patterns, and logic. Eventually, they offered information in exchange for silence. Earth accepted. It wasn't friendship. It was a recognition of capability. Even human assassins understood this dynamic. They didn't hunt indiscriminately. Every action was precise, targeted, and justified. The rules were clear. Protect the young. Punish the guilty. Remove the threat. Civilians were untouched. Neutrality was honored. This restraint earned respect, even among former enemies. A rogue dominion once allied with the Empire surrendered unconditionally after losing 30 command staff in 30 minutes. They weren't destroyed, they were made irrelevant. Every line of their war machine was dissected and turned against them. After their surrender, they received a message: do not rebuild, do not recruit, raise your children. Live. They obeyed. The assassins began disappearing. Not through death, through evolution. Those who survived the deepest campaigns, who had taken apart imperial strongholds with nothing but a blade and knowledge, moved on. Some returned to Earth. Others integrated into independent systems, watching quietly. They were no longer needed as destroyers. They had become seeds. The Empire's collapse reached its final phase. The Empress disappeared. No one knew how. No explosion. No coup. No announcement. One day she was present, the next she was not. Her image stopped transmitting. Her signals fell silent. The succession protocol was never triggered. Some said it was a final act of human punishment. Others believed she fled into exile, knowing the cost of further defiance. It didn't matter. Without her, the central hierarchy fractured. Dozens of warlords claimed authority. None held it for long. Earth made no statement. The assassins did not return. There was no celebration, only disinterest. Because Earth's vengeance had purpose. The mission wasn't dominance, it was balance. The removal of a threat so vile that it justified erasing a superpower. Once that threat ended, Earth focused elsewhere. Its fleets, never fully revealed, now orbited new colonies. Not to conquer, but to protect. Human habitats stretched across 3 sectors, built in silence. No grand declarations. No demands. Trade became possible, but only if the price was stability. Earth didn't seek tribute. It demanded accountability. When smugglers abducted children from a neutral world, Earth intervened within 2 hours. No negotiations. The perpetrators vanished. The children returned. That system joined Earth's protection network without hesitation. Soon, 100 worlds followed. Some protested. Earth didn't force them. They left those worlds alone. But piracy ended near them anyway. Slavery vanished. Smugglers rerouted. The fear of retaliation was stronger than any alliance. In time, Earth's influence formed an invisible barrier. No laws, no taxes, just cause and consequence. The galaxy redrew its maps not by borders, but by zones of probability, where violence would be met with annihilation, and where it would not. The assassin program had no formal end, but its purpose had been fulfilled. What began as vengeance became deterrence. What followed deterrence was order. And from order came something else, curiosity. Alien civilizations, long conditioned to fear humans, now sought to understand them. Quiet envoys arrived. Questions were asked. Earth responded with honesty. It didn't want empires. It wanted security, not dominance, peace without submission, the right to exist without intrusion, and the absolute right to protect its own. It was a new doctrine, one not built on faith or ideology, but consequence. Where once the galaxy dismissed humans as fragile and primitive, they now viewed them as a singularity of purpose. One act of cruelty had triggered a response so precise and overwhelming that it unraveled centuries of power. And still, Earth remained a single world. It hadn't expanded like conquerors. It hadn't annexed star systems. Its strength came not from territory, but trust. The trust that it would act when necessary, without hesitation, without mercy, and only when provoked. That trust reshaped the galaxy more than any war ever could. A monument was built, not by humans, but by an alien species whose children had been rescued during Earth's retaliation. It didn't depict warriors or ships. It was a blank black stone, etched only with one phrase in 100 languages. If you take what is ours, you will lose all that is yours. And beneath that, in small human script, 70,000 walked into the void. None asked to return, but the galaxy will remember what made them necessary. Generations passed. The Empire became a cautionary tale. New powers rose, always careful. Treaties were rewritten. War doctrines included the human clause. Any action against Earth must be preceded by total consensus. None dared to prove it. Earth continued forward. It didn't celebrate. It didn't boast. It didn't forgive. But it endured. Because the message had been delivered. And it only needed to be sent once.